So, hi, my name is Jason Bunn-Parsons, and I'm director of the Autism Ambassadors Corps, and we're actually officially part 2 of getting Autistics, Aspies jobs and off-public assistance, and so part 1 was the impact of Autistics, Asperger's perceptions on autistic, Aspie employment, and I know some people get really bent out of shape over these terms, and they insist on me calling Aspies, and really it's, well, we'll get into a little bit later on, but it really is a bunch of nonsense. And so and the more time you spend worrying about what label you have, the worse off you're going to be. So let's not get so bent out of shape over labels and just talk about who we are, what kind of human beings we are. So anyways, in part 2, the impact of U.S. social services on autistic Aspie employment. That's going to be today. And parts 3 and 4 we actually already did. Understanding the strengths and weaknesses of Autistics, Aspies in relationship to employment. And the reason why we skipped this to do that is because after doing part 1, a lot of the people here were saying, well, we're not really interested in changing the system, we just want information to figure out how to get jobs. So I accommodated them by skipping part 2 to do 3 and 4. So now we're doing part 2, which is actually the 4th video that we've actually done, but it's second in the series. So anyways, it's all working out in the end. So and then part 5 is going to be next month, the good, the bad, and the ugly of autistic Aspie employment and volunteer experience. And Sam Bartlow should be able to come next month. I know he has extensive job history, a number of different jobs. I pretty well did about half my job history last month. But hopefully other people will show up and talk about not only their employment, but also their volunteer experiences, because the thing about volunteering is you'll get an opportunity to do things that you ordinarily wouldn't be able to do. Hey, just try this, see what happens. Where an employer, no, you're hired to do this job, and so do your job, and so employers aren't going to give you the same opportunities to try something new that a volunteer organization is going to. And so so I definitely encourage volunteerism for that, as well as it's just good to be volunteer. Society needs more volunteers. And so anyways, and then +1 in the series is going to be autistic Aspie social skills. And the reason why I have this down as a +1 is that social skills, yes, that they play a role in employment, but at the same time, it's also a standalone subject, because social skills affects us in all areas of life, and so it's not officially part of the series, but it's going to be relevant to the series. Instead of redoing the subject every time we do a new series on something, we'll just do basically one really good presentation, possibly 1 or 2 parts, and Erin and I will probably coordinate on that, because she is about to get her master's degree in counseling, and officially in December, right?
Yes.
And so anyway, so by then she will be all-knowing. That's what a master's degree means, is that you're all-knowing.
Yeah.
And so nobody can disagree with you ever again. So, no, wait, I'm sorry, that's PhD. Anyways. So the impact of U.S. social services on autistic Aspie employment. And this first part here, understanding the system, the necessity for effective systems in enabling mutual cooperation. I actually did this in the first video in part 1, and so I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it is important to point out many autistics Aspies have a deep hostility towards the system, the status quo, proper protocols, etc., due to their extreme difficulty in fitting in. However, systems are not inherently bad. The problem is that many of them lack the proper balance between firmness and flexibility. If a system is not firm enough, then it does not enable individuals with inherently incompatible needs and wants to cooperate with each other so everyone can have their needs and wants met. However, if it's not flexible enough, it will undermine the ability of individuals to function in the manner most effective for them. Okay, and so it's really important to have the, to have this balance, when creating these, a system for getting stuff done. Such individuals will be doomed to fail in areas that they would otherwise succeed in if they were able to do things the way that works for them. The system that is set up to meet the social services needs in the United States has openings that allow private organizations to be part of the system. The autistic community needs to recognize that these openings do exist so we can create our own subsystem within the greater system that will be more effective in meeting our needs. Okay, and so 9 steps to creating our own subsystem. 1, for those who are committed to change organize themselves. And this is one thing that I've learned over the years with a lot of different groups. Rule of the masses doesn't really work when you're, because you have a few people who are actually committed to getting stuff done, but you have these other people, that's that want to do this, they want to do that, like, okay, fine, we'll do it. So you set everything up, they don't show up. Okay, and so the people that are carrying the burden are the people that weren't really that enthused or wanted to do something else, but in order to accommodate the masses, they are doing this program that now the masses aren't supporting. Okay, and so it's important that that when we talk about organizing people, we're not, yes, make it open to where people can interject, but the decisions need to be made by those who are committed to making things happen. Okay, anybody can give suggestions, but but if you want to vote, you have to be committed to making things happen. Okay, it doesn't mean you have to attend every event, because it'd be great if we can get something going 7 days a week, and nobody can attend things 7 days a week, but nevertheless, you need to commit yourself. Okay, and so then step 2, figuring out how the system currently works. Okay, and so let's look at that real quickly. Figuring out how the system currently works. Many people have an inaccurate understanding of how the system works due to, 1, outdated information. When I first got diagnosed back in 2009, and I joined the East Valley support group in September of 2009. The following month, I brought my mother, and she attended the parent support group, and over in their group, she got a lot of information about SSI and how much you're allowed to work, and she was told at the time that you're allowed to make up to $600 a month without it affecting your Social Security. Okay, and so then with the prospect of me possibly getting employment, I went and to Social Security, and I went to find out what the updated information was, and it's now up to $810 per month. Okay,
how much?
$810 per month. Okay,
yeah, $810.
Yeah, $810. After that, then you go on a 9-month probationary period. So you can make more than that. You can make sky's the limit for 9 months as a probationary period. Okay, you get a job. Okay, you get hired on, and they're going to give you time to see if it's going to work out. That's why they give you 9 months, and during that period, when you're making over $810, you can make sky's the limit, but only for 9 months. Okay.
What do you mean it won't affect your Social Security benefits you're getting?
Right. I can continue to receive my current level of Social Security. Okay. that won't be affected for 9 months, okay? Which leads to point number 2 of only having an abridged understanding of how the system works. And so clearly the person that, that gave this information to my mom, it's a lot more, there's a lot more to it. Hey, anytime you're talking about a government program, if you sum it up in one sentence, then you're missing out on a lot of stuff, because nothing that the government does can be explained in one sentence, and so, but as far as, actually, getting back to, outdated information, like I said, I originally received, got, that information from my mom back in October of 2009, and there's a possibility it could have been outdated by then, okay? 10 months earlier, we swore in the new president, okay? And that new president was of the opposite political party of the previous president, okay? Plus, we had a major economic crisis at the time that had started 2 years prior, and so all these things can affect, how they prioritize stuff, and so the system could have changed 10 times, since October 2009, and it could have changed 10 times in the 5 years prior to that, and so that's why, like I said, we need to make sure that we're up to date on our information, and also, some people having different expectations of their and or their loved one's potential. Okay, I from day one, since being identified as an autistic by my mom, was determined that okay, yes, I have basically no choice. I have to go on Social Security because I was simply going belly up. Okay, and so. So I was going to accept Social Security until I learned what this was and try to figure out what I'm going to do about it. Other people are do not have that self-confidence, and maybe that they just, they would love for their child to, or themselves, just to make $300-400 a month, but the idea of getting completely off Social Security, completely off public assistance, I don't know how many parents would say, yes, that's my goal for my child. But that is my goal. My goal is to get off public assistance, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this series is because I want to get off public assistance. I believe I can get off public assistance. I believe I should be off public assistance. If I could cut some get some breaks here. But other people don't have that self-confidence, and so, so you need to keep that in mind when you're getting advice about the system, that this person's only going to give you as much information as they're interested for themselves, and there may be a lot more information out there that they're not interested in, but you might be interested in that would help you. And so, and fourth, some people just make stuff up. Okay, that is not unique to the autism community, as I'm pretty sure everybody knows. And so, getting back to the 9 steps to creating our own subsystem, on to step 3, drawing up plans for various projects and programs that will help meet the needs, the unmet needs of the autism community. Now, basically, I have done steps. Basically the first 3 steps already, okay, and up to the extent that a single individual can do that. Okay, I am not immortal, I am not omnipotent, I do not know everything, and so what I do have is definitely an initial proposal to present to people who want to to make change, and discussing this and figure out where to other ideas. Anyways, then step forward to organize those who are committed to the cause to carrying out volunteer activities that will put our plans into action. Okay, and this gets back to we need people to actually lift a finger. Patting me on the back, say go get them, Jason, isn't going to change society. Okay, clicking like on my Facebook videos is not going to change society. Okay, what's going to change society is for people to decide enough is enough, we do not like how things are, and we're going to take steps in order to make these changes. Okay, and then having done that, okay, having evidence that shows how well our plans work so far, we sell it to those who have the desire and the expertise necessary to take them to the next level, which is create a nonprofit organization that will enable us to expand our operations to as large as necessary to meet the needs of the autism community. Okay, one of the things I talked about at the end of the first video is my desire to to start a nonprofit organization to deal with these issues, and I wouldn't want anybody to think that this is an overnight process. That I'm planning on filing paperwork this next week. No, it's going to take time, and a lot of effort in order to get the support that we need, before we actually can launch that. And that's not going to happen until, like I said, we actually step out there as volunteers, to do as much good as we can as volunteers to show that our theories work. Then we can get the support, which then leads to step 7. Begin seeking the financial support necessary for us to succeed to fund all of our projects, okay? And a lot of times, I hear these people talking about, what needs to be done to change society, and they're talking all about money, 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 money. It's like, okay, first give us the money and then we'll change society. It's like, no, first let's come up with a good idea, then we'll talk about funding that good idea, and see all that. And it's become very clear that a lot of these people that are asking for money, once they get it, they really didn't have a good idea of what to do with that money. They just wanted to get some money, and that's not the way I want to roll, and so then step 8 is to replicate our program anywhere people are willing to run them, and then we do not necessarily need to wait until step 8 before replicating our ideas elsewhere. It is possible that we obtain so much success as volunteers that volunteers from other communities might ask us to advise them while we're still working on step 8, which is to basically get somebody to come in and give us their expertise in order to formally organize and eventually form a nonprofit organization. Okay, then step 9, re-examine the effectiveness of our programs and ideology at least yearly, and that's just something that every human being should be doing. Every company should be doing. That's and so anyways, yeah, that's fairly self-explanatory. Okay, so let's talk about this system as it currently is working, or at least it claims to be working. Jobs Accommodation Network. Okay, and what I have here is accommodation compliance series for employees with Asperger's syndrome. Jobs Accommodation Network of the United States Department of Labor, and I will be posting the downloads for these with the video, and it says later on in the preface that these are not copyrighted, and the reproduction is encouraged, so they want everybody to be reading this. And so I actually have the 2008 version talking about Asperger's. This was back when the DSM-4 was in place, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, which provides the diagnostic criteria for all the mental health issues. And then the 2013 version, which autism spectrum disorder, of course, that they had to go and basically change everything, and when you look through these, and I got 2 sets, so I'll send one down here and another one over this way, and like I said, these can be downloaded online, and basically, as far as the as far as the, the meat of what's in these pamphlets, there is no relevant change whatsoever between one or the other. When we're talking about, the debate, what's autism, what's Asperger's, when it comes to dealing with them, the pamphlets are pretty much identical. It's just that the
You mean from 2008 to 2013?
the 2008.
Are these the same?
No, the Asperger one, that's 2008.
2000?
The other one, the autism spectrum, that's 2013. Okay, so that's
Let's write this down.
okay. So the 2008 one is under the DSM-4,
This one.
right? And then 2013 is when the DSM-5 came out.
Yeah.
Okay, and so
They just changed it to autism.
Well, that's when they changed the whole criteria.
yeah.
Asperger's became autism spectrum level 1.
Yeah, and it's basically, what they did was they simply shuffled, our labels around. There was all this fear that people were going to lose their diagnosis. No, nobody lost their diagnosis and was declared normal. Okay, we just got new labels. Okay, I went from Asperger's to ASD level 1, autism spectrum disorder level 1. Woo bloody who. I really care about it. It has no impact on my life whatsoever what label I use. Okay, and so but the only change is that well, first of all, I'll start off with with the 2008 one. That I just want to do a quick overview. Okay, in the section on page 3. Okay, what is autism? Okay, this section is surprisingly complete when you consider how incomplete the information provided to most autism Asperger's experts is, whom focus almost solely on our social difficulties and hypersensory processing issues, especially when you're talking about the employment issues. However, it is written at a high enough level of English, which almost constitutes a foreign language to those of us who have no more than a high school education. In fact, I cannot tell you with absolute 100% certainty as to how thorough that they were in addressing the issues of sensory processing, because the vocabulary was over my head. That's anyway. So people with Asperger's syndrome are self-described loners who may be unable or unwilling to participate in spontaneous social interaction. Although friendship is desired, frustration occurs when trying to build social relationships, likely due to previous failed attempts. Okay, and this is a quote from, I believe his name is pronounced Dr. Klin. Okay, and several other people who wrote this book back in 2000, talking about, what Asperger's is. Okay, although autism Asperger's is not psychological in origin, autistics and Aspies can have the same psychological issues as anyone else. And now this is the reason why Aaron is sitting in the hot seat next to me. Okay. Autism is not a mental illness, and yet it's in the DSM-5, okay? So explain what that is all about as far as why, why isn't autism considered a mental illness?
Well, basically, autism, there's a condition, there are conditions, and then there are illnesses. Basically, if you see somebody in a wheelchair, that person is not necessarily ill. That person has a condition where they can't walk. It doesn't mean they've got germs. It doesn't mean they're feeling poorly. It just means they cannot walk. And with autism, I think that is a condition where the mind functions differently. The mind and neurology function differently. But that does not necessarily constitute an illness because, and also when you think about it, an illness is temporary. An illness goes away. For example, a mental illness is depression. Depression can go away. Autism does not. And so autism would be simply how the mind of that individual functions. While an illness is something that is a change, difference, or aberration. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay. Because
for me anyway.
when he first asked me to explain it, I was just like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I never thought of that. How is it different?
Yeah, because that's one of the things that's pointed out at all the autism meetings, that autism is not a mental illness, and yet I've had people who don't know anything about autism say, oh yes, it is a mental illness. Like, no, it's not. You're into that. Like, excuse me, official autism doctrine is that it is not a mental illness, and I've had people say that I'm mentally ill because I'm autistic, and it's like, no, it doesn't work like that, and so that's the reason why it doesn't work like that. Okay, so anyways, it is well established fact that if you abuse another human being, there will be psychological consequences. Okay, and so the next quote from Clint: people with Asperger's syndrome can excessively elaborate on their own topics of interest, however, be unable or unwilling to participate in other parts of conversation or to end a conversation, particularly because of an inability to gauge the social context or interpret social clues. Okay, again, Clint from this same book. Okay, so again, we're talking about this from the context of employment. Okay, you do not go to work to socialize. You go there to make your boss money in exchange for a pre-agreed salary or wage. Okay, the more production-based the job such as construction and assembly line work, the less socialization your boss wants from their employees. Okay, and so yeah, it's an employee that doesn't talk to their coworkers. They just go right to work. They don't socialize. They don't talk about what they did over Christmas break. They just go right to work. That is the ideal employee for a production-based job. Okay, and so B, every social scenario that the autism experts address are ones in which the autistic is at fault. Okay, and this is something that really ticks me off, is the assumption that anytime that there's a conflict, it's our fault. Okay, and if you look at the Jan, okay, when they talk about conflicts, they're talking about all these second and third party interventions to do in order to help the autistic, because the autistic is the one that needs help. Okay, it can't possibly be the neurotypical. Oh, by the way, neurotypicals fight with each other too. Okay, has anybody noticed that?
Not at
and
my house.
yeah, when years ago when I was working as a laborer at electrician, basically, my job, I was the material guy, and so basically, I had a radio, and all of the foremen's, leadman, I'm sorry. Well, the foreman was the one that was in charge of all the people of his trade, in our case, the electricians on the site. Okay, and then the leadmen were in charge of specific projects that that needed to be done. Okay, so the foreman and all the leadmen all had radios, and I had a radio. So, hey, Jason, we need 12 gauge red wire, second floor. Okay, so I go grab 12 gauge red wire and run up to the second floor. And one of the foremen, one of the leadmen, I felt was just really degrading to me. Okay, and I actually complained about it to another leadman, and he's like, don't worry about it. He's like that to everybody. Like, oh, so it isn't me. Sometimes it's the other person's just a jerk. And that's something that autistics have to learn how to deal with. Okay, yes, you need to learn, you need to learn when it is your fault and what you need to do to correct it in the future, but you also need to learn when it's not your fault and how to deal with somebody that is a problem, especially if they're a supervisor, over you. How to deal with a supervisor that's a jerk. Otherwise you're just going to be quitting jobs left and right. And truthfully, I did quit some jobs.
Sometimes it's okay to let that stuff go and move
Yeah.
on.
Yes.
Sometimes you're in situations, unfortunately, you can't leave that stuff go.
Mhm.
Sometimes, unfortunately,
Yeah.
you're in a situation where you can't walk away,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's best just to walk away and keep moving.
Yeah. Well, it's a case by case situation. But you can't run away from every job, because.
No, I don't mean walk away from
Yeah.
the job. I mean,
Yeah.
if you have a jerk like that,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
like that to everybody,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
ignore it and keep doing your job.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
gonna be a jerk on every job.
Mhm.
I was a nurse and I worked in many
Mhm.
different situations, nursing homes and hospitals. And there was at least one person that was
Mhm.
just a miserable, unhappy person
Mhm.
that spread nothing but misery.
To
Not
everybody.
just to everybody, not
Yeah.
to me. I was a pretty tough cookie. I
Yeah.
had thick skin, so it didn't bother me. But you're going to find that in the hospitals. Doctors used to, they don't anymore. I've noticed as I got older, maybe it's because I got old. But when I was younger, the doctors of the 70s and part of the 80s treated nurses like they were pond scum.
Mhm.
Just they all had such God.
They did, they did,
They
and
did.
this
Mhm.
is changing now.
Yeah.
They actually talk to you like you're
Like
you and
me.
me
Yeah.
talking, yeah. So times have
Nurses
changed
are
culture.
doing actually mostly medical care now.
Pardon?
I think
Nurses are doing most of the actual medical care right now.
Good point,
Mhm.
good point. There was
So-
times when I was doing
Yeah.
a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
doctor.
There've been 2 or 3 jobs where I, for a short time, had the perfect crew where we all got along, but then one of them moved on for various reasons, and they were replaced by somebody that, that did not maintain the utopian, atmosphere, and so you just have to learn how to deal with that.
Thick in your
Okay.
skin.
Yeah, and so anyways, and that's one thing. When I hear all these experts, talk about, these employment issues and these social conflicts, I don't hear them advising autistics like, that, sometimes, you know what, you just gotta accept the fact that they're a jerk and you just need to focus on doing your job, the best you can, and just go on from there. That is not, I have never heard any autism expert on employment ever, tell autistics that.
that it could be outside, the problem's outside
Right.
of you.
It could be the other person,
Yeah.
and in
That's
fact,
too bad.
we used to have an,
Guarantee that happens.
Yeah.
in 2011, 12, and 13, we were doing a annual conference, and I believe it was the 3rd year, where we had, a fellow autistic who considered themselves to be a autistic self-advocate, and was wanting to, work, to help autistics find jobs. And so this individual, gave this presentation, talking about, their first job, and as I mentioned in previous videos, I've, in my early years, I attended a 12-step program for codependency, and so we would talk a lot about, these issues. That's actually one of the main issues that I would be talking about is, that they would talk about how that they got in a fight with their husband, their children, their wife. I would talk about my problems with my bosses and my coworkers, okay? And so, anyway, so I kind of went into facilitator mode, and I started, asking the same kind of questions, of her, that would be asked if we were in group, and presented the possibility that maybe So, some of the problem was her supervisor, and her entire presentation unraveled. Because her entire presentation was predicated that it's always our fault, because
Really?
that's what we're taught, and this this young lady, she was the epitome of somebody that embraced the status quo view of autism and wanted to be accepted amongst the professionals, and believed everything that they told her, and what they told her is that it's always our fault. That is what she came to believe. And when it was challenged, her entire presentation unraveled. And so now the next quote by Klin, gross motor skills including posture and gait, G-A-I-T, what?
Walking, that's
How you
how you
walk.
walk.
Okay, how you walk, and fine motor skills such as manual dexterity may be underdeveloped, making people with Asperger's syndrome seem clumsy or physically awkward, and we definitely dealt with that in part 3. Or is it part, probably both. Anyways, and so now moving on to the 2013. Okay, this same section on page 3. Okay, what is missing from this section? All of Klin's contributions, including his insights into the autistic Aspie point of view of social issues. Although most autistic self-advocates find his observations less than 100% accurate, at least he tried, okay? We'll at least give him credit for at least trying to see things from our point of view, okay?
Well, it seemed like he had, for the information that he had,
Yeah.
the intel that he had,
Yeah.
he did good.
He had some valid observations,
Absolutely.
okay, but that was from his point of view, okay.
But
And if we could have an actual dialogue with him, we might challenge his points of view, in certain situations, he's interpreting it one way, we might challenge him on some of those, and so, anyways, then B, the fact that many autistic Aspie social issues are the product of physical, emotional, psychological, etc. abuse that they have suffered, okay, was completely removed, okay? And why was this, okay? And this quote comes from Dr. Bernard Rimland in Healthcare Magazine, Volume 3, number 6, June and July 1994. Okay, autism is a biological disorder, not an emotional illness. Refuse psychotherapy, psychoanalysis, and intensive counseling. These approaches are useless. Okay? Dr. Rimland's quote is even more shocking when you consider the fact that he was a psychologist. Okay, in other words, he told the entire autism community to denounce his own profession when trying to understand and deal with autism. Okay, and so why would he do this? Okay, his reaction was an overkill response to Bruno Bettelheim, whose refrigerator mother theory in the 1940s condemned an entire generation of mothers. According to that psychologist, who's diagnosing Temple Grandin with childhood schizophrenia,
Yes.
okay, which is what it was called back then.
Say what
Okay.
year that was. That was in the 60s or
No,
50s?
that was in the, I'm pretty sure that was in the 50s.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That
Yeah.
refrigerator mother, that whole thing was rejected.
Right,
Yeah.
yes,
So
okay.
what is this kind
Well,
of thing?
okay, well,
It's rejected.
let me finish with this. Okay, this theory supposed that autism was caused by mothers who lacked the ability to show their child affection.
I
Okay.
was blamed. I got blamed.
Well, yeah, all mothers, were blamed. Anyways, after his child was diagnosed with autism in the 1960s, much of Rimland's research efforts was to exonerate his wife from the allegations that Bettelheim made against the mothers of all autistics. since Dr. Rimland,
Say that again.
okay, much of Rimland's research efforts was to exonerate his wife from the allegation. Otherwise, he basically committed his research to disproving the refrigerator mother theory.
Okay.
Okay, since Dr. Rimland founded the Autism Society of America in 1965 and the Autism Research Institute in 1967, his views carry a lot of weight. Okay, this is a major problem for us because like I said, we have been abused, and when you're talking about these these social issues, the saying, once bitten, twice shy. Well, what if you spent your entire upbringing swimming in a lake filled with piranhas?
Yeah.
And you're constantly getting bit over and over and over again. Don't you think that's going to eventually affect the social skills of that individual? That there's a lot of people, that they do not want to have any kind of a human relationship, that they have pets as substitutes for relationships. And when you ask them, why you like cats, why you like dogs, they tell you they don't judge me, they don't hurt me. Okay, that's not neurology. Okay, that is them being so wounded that they are scared to death of future relationships. And as long as they are scared to death of future relationships, I don't care how brilliant of a social skills teacher you are, they will not develop social skills because they will be scared to death to even try to apply anything that you're teaching them. And if they do try, they're going to have their hand waiting over the eject button, and the instant that they think that something might go bad, bail out, bail out. That's what's going to happen. Okay, if you want to teach autistic social skills who are impaired by the abuse that they've endured, okay, you're going to have to to deal with the abuse issues first, like I did in New Wine, and talking about all the negative stuff that my peers said about me.
Explain what New Wine is.
Oh, okay, yeah, New Wine was.
So, but why are you saying there was all this negative? Where are you saying that came from?
From him growing
Oh,
up.
yeah, yes, from my peers.
From your peers from school?
Yes, yes,
So
from.
you're saying all kids go through that, or?
Not all
No.
kids, but a lot of them, especially if you are autistic, or
Yeah.
Asperger's, you
Yeah.
get marked.
Okay,
Yes.
and keep in
Because I
mind,
mean, Nick was just like totally a loner.
Yeah.
From the time he was young, he preferred
oh,
himself.
okay, keep in mind,
And I don't know if that was because he felt like
It
he
may
didn't
not
fit
have
in,
been.
or he
Okay.
just wanted to be alone.
okay,
I don't
It
know.
may not have been, it may not have been, it may not have been that. When I was a
Maybe he
kid,
yeah,
when I was a kid, I'm not diagnosed autistic, but when I was a kid, I noticed similar patterns going on with me. Number one, I preferred to be on my own generally, even though I was a nice, friendly person. But when I was placed in groups, I was teased because of my height, because of the way that I looked, somewhat because of the way that I acted. And I can remember vividly in high school, sitting in a high school classroom, before the teacher would come in. And these guys were snapping around with my bras.
Yeah.
They were pulling my chair up,
I
saying
know,
the
is it-
most,
Remember you had an art teacher that picked on you? I know you had
Vicious.
teachers
Yeah.
pick on him.
yeah. Oh,
Tell him things that he was.
oh,
minimal
okay,
with.
sure, I've been through that too. What I'm saying is, but I remember sitting there almost frozen because
Sometimes it's really subtle.
anything,
yeah,
I felt like anything that I did was going to increase
mhm,
that kind of abuse.
Bully.
yeah.
And it would be
Bullying.
my
Yes.
fault.
That's what
Okay.
it is.
And
Okay.
My fault.
Now, one thing to consider, her and I went to school in the 70s and 80s.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
your son is a lot younger than us.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And things have changed. The biggest thing that changed was the DSM-4 acknowledging the existence of what is now considered high-functioning autism, okay? Which unfortunately didn't come about until 6 years after I graduated from high school. Up until then, yes, Laura Wing, did, coin the term Asperger syndrome back in 1981, but it was not in the DSM, therefore it was not official, okay? Some people, may have, gotten it, but plus we also didn't have the internet that allows, quick dissemination of information.
They didn't recognize that.
Yeah, but anyways, so, bottom line is that, okay, my teachers thought that, actually blamed me for the bullying that I experienced, because if I didn't like the negative attention, I would simply stop doing that which was, getting the negative attention, thus assuming that I actually understood what it was, that was wrong. And from my perspective, it's like I thought that I was emulating my peers. Okay, the thing is, now that I understand more about autism, we're delayed in social development. So basically, by the time I master, the latest, coolest way to act, okay, my peers have moved on to a newer and cooler way to act, and so I'm always lagging behind. So I was immature, okay, which to a large extent, yes, I was immature, socially immature, in terms of me not keeping up with my peers socially. And so my teachers at the time, and in third grade I was tested as having 140 IQ, so obviously I have to be smart enough to be able to figure this out. And yeah, it's just, that was the way, growing up, and also back then, bullying is just something that happens. What can you do? Kids are going to be kids,
That's
and
the attitude of school still today.
yeah, and so,
Still.
but at least some teachers today are getting the message, okay? And there is mixed reviews. Yes, they got these programs which they claim is making a difference, because fewer bullying incidents are being reported. It's like, well, is that because there's less bullying, or is it because
Sometimes the teachers do the bullying.
Yeah.
Sometimes the
Yes.
students do, but sometimes the teachers do, and sometimes I think their classes are too big, they're too
Yeah.
overworked, they need assembly line
Sure.
students, and they have
Right.
no room for anything
Yeah.
outside of
Different.
that.
yeah, it's
Everything
so.
has to be mainlined here.
So anyways, bottom line is that, because, we could get a lot more into this when we're talking about social skills, but I'm bringing this up to make the point that, okay, if the child has these abuse issues, you're not going to be able to teach them social skills.
Well,
Because
don't you think Asperger's have that black and white thinking too?
Yes.
There is
Not-
that.
not,
Yeah.
well,
Like if they made up their mind
depends.
about something, like I've gone down the
Yes.
road before and I've made up my mind and I'm
Oh,
not gonna do it again.
okay.
I've learned this and.
That's
Well, hold on, okay? Here's from our perspective, okay? My black and white thinking, okay? I spend hours doing research on a subject, okay? And I do all this research to come up with an informed opinion, okay? Then I come across this person who basically believes any whimsical notion that, that they want to, and they want me to agree to disagree with them. Like, no. I'm not going to agree to disagree with somebody that's too lazy to actually put any effort into trying to get their facts straight. Okay, so a lot of this black and white thinking.
That's
Yeah.
black and white thinking.
Well, no. It's called if I've actually taken the time to try to get my facts straight, and in dealing with somebody who obviously has made no effort whatsoever to actually research, they just have this whimsical belief system. No, that's not black and white
Give me an
thinking.
example.
Hold on. Well, politics. I'm not going to go down that road. But when debating politics, you have this all the time where people.
No, I mean, like, people will always let you down, yes or no, that,
As far, but,
that kind of thing.
okay, well, that specific
What you're
issue.
talking about is inflexibility,
Well-
is inflexible thinking sometimes
okay.
in certain situations, am I correct?
Okay, well, the specific example that you just gave, okay, people are always going to let you down. That's a product of life experience. Okay, people have let them down over and over again. Anybody, autistic or otherwise, who experiences that over and over again, or even a parent, a catastrophic letdown by a parent, can develop that thinking. Okay, so that's isn't black and white thinking. That is the product of life events. When
Or
somebody.
an interpretation, I would call it an interpretation of life events.
There you go.
But I think what I think it gets down to is this. There are cases, like in my case when I was a kid, maybe your son's case, where maybe they did prefer to be on their own a little bit. There are cases like what I was experiencing in that situation where the reason I wanted to be alone was because these people were hurting me. And they continued to hurt me, and I didn't want anything to do with that. That was an adverse reaction. And in some cases, he's saying that in some cases with autistic people, when they do, here they have social anxiety, naturally wanting to be alone from the get-go. Then they are encouraged to step out, sometimes forced, to step out of their comfort zones. And when they do step out of their comfort zones, they get shot down. That happens too many times. You're going to have this autistic person who is not developing social skills, not just because of a general preference for being alone, but because
Bad experience.
Yeah.
bad experience, even I would call it traumatic experiences.
Yes.
Well, for a lot of it is going through cycles. Okay, yes, we're used to being alone. We're content to being alone to a large extent. Okay, when I was younger, I would play Monopoly by myself. I would set up four pieces, money for 4 pieces, and I would play all 4 pieces because I wanted to play Monopoly. Nobody was there to play with me, but I just wanted to play Monopoly, so I played Monopoly. Okay, and so you can get comfortable with that, but there comes a point in time where yes, you want to reach out, okay, but then when you get burned, okay, you immediately you immediately go back into a shell, and this is something that I worked on in New Wine. Is this thing where I kept running back into my shell every time I get burned, okay, until I get lonely and miserable. Then I'd reach out in desperation. When you do that, you'll have a tendency to reach out to the wrong person, and you're more likely to get burned.
New Wine was at.
Was a general purpose 12-step program.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, which I went there for.
Group where
Yeah.
they talk about their problems.
Right, which I went there for codependency, and so that was one of the things that that I was dealing with in my early 20s. Is that I'd be lonely and miserable, and just reach out for relationship, get burned or believe I got burned, go back into a shell until I got lonely and miserable again, and just doing this yo-yo. Okay, and so that's definitely can happen too. Especially like I said earlier. Okay, you're wanting to to reach out and to socialize, but at the same time you got your hand over the eject button, and the instant something goes wrong, bail out. And that was definitely something that I was addressing in my own life back in my early and mid-20s. And so.
Yeah, I've gotten you off track on something.
Well, that may not have been your experience. That's not the experience of every autistic.
Right.
but it's the experience of
Yeah.
a whole lot of autistics.
Yeah, because I met, autistics, who are about your son's age, who said that they were never bullied. Okay, so,
Mhm.
and so you're not, autism does not automatically mean
you
getting
were
bullied.
or not? I don't know. I think you
Yeah.
were consciously.
And so,
Good.
there's this manager at a fast food restaurant that I frequent. She's the mother of a 12-year-old autistic boy, and he happened to be there, doing his homework one time, and so I asked her permission to talk to him, about my autism, because she knows that that I'm autistic. Long story behind that, but anyways, and so. So I was talking to him, and he doesn't believe that his parents treat him any differently than anybody else, and so, so how bad is the problem today? I don't have accurate intel, that these younger kids, I have no access to in order to ask them, what is life like for you now?
What is the next item on
Yeah.
the agenda so we can move?
Yeah, okay, so.
Keep things
Yeah,
moving?
it's getting late.
Okay. Not that late. Anyways, okay, although it's true that autism Asperger's is not a psychological, okay, I think we pretty much already dealt with this. Okay. Okay, so then, then the other thing that, of CLINS that was removed was problems with autistics Aspies having gross motor skills, including posture and gait, and fine motor skills such as manual dexterity. Okay, so this was all taken out. This was in the 2008, but was excluded from the 2013. Okay, so then going on to point 2. Point of emphasis, which is a top page of page 5 in both pamphlets. Okay, note people with ASD may experience some of the limitations discussed below, but seldom develop all of them. Also, the degree of limitations will vary amongst individuals. Be aware that not all people with ASD will need accommodations to perform their jobs, and many others may only need a few accommodations. Okay, oh, it's all nice and great that they have this quote on the top of page 5. Okay, this entire mentality that autistics/Aspies are going to struggle no matter what job we give them, so let's just create a work environment in which they will struggle the least, completely misses the fact that there are some jobs that autistic Aspies excel at. Based on my experience with vocational rehabilitation from March 2015 through June of 2016, it appears to me that no one involved in helping autistics gain employment has gotten this memo. Okay, that not all of us are going to need all these accommodations. Okay, basically, that their strategy, is based on, is basically, geared towards people who are just barely out of high school with no work experience and or lower functioning autistics. Well, I'm a high functioning autistic and I have 20 years of work experience. Okay, they did not later on. Okay, questions to consider, page 5 of both of them. Pretty thorough list of questions to ask, but they are only asking the questions that are designed to identify struggles in spite of the point of emphasis at the top of the page. Okay, no questions are asked about what kind of jobs they might excel at. So again, it's all nice and dandy that you put this great quote at the top of page 5 about how not all autistics are going to some autistics might not need any accommodations, and yet you don't ask questions about what jobs they might excel at without accommodations. Okay, and so give them the right job and they don't need any accommodations. And I actually made that statement to somebody who's getting her master's degree, you know, in some social service, you know, type thing, and she looked at me with complete shock. You know, that some of us don't need any accommodations. You know, she was shocked by me making that statement. Well, here's the thing. Sue Golubuck, who's a now retired occupational therapist and autistic, did not get diagnosed until she was 50. She succeeded, you know, at a top level profession in spite of not knowing about her autism. No special accommodations, no nothing. She just made the right choice. And there's a half a dozen other individuals in the Tempe group that just made the right choice. You know,
It's hard, what I think is hard with the social worker, the person that you are accommodating is, generally, that social worker is not gonna see, what you're gonna say, because that social worker is not gonna see the autistic like Sue Golubuck. They're not gonna see the people who are already succeeding in their professions. They're going to see the people who are struggling, and that's why they focus more on
And that's where they
deficits.
get their opinions from.
That's what their perception is.
Yes.
And the thing is, because I find that with myself, you're trying to find a solution for this person right now. You know, and that sort of is the reason you can see that orientation very common when you're dealing with vocational rehab counselors.
So, okay, number 4, accommodation ideas, page 5 through 11, not 5 through 9 in the 2008 version. This is also a pretty thorough list, but you do not, but you do need to keep in mind that the higher functioning autistics may need few, if any, of these accommodations if they are given the right job that suits their strengths. Okay, kind of beating that into the ground. The good news is that there's one bit of improvement in the 2013 found at the bottom of page 5 and into page 6, acknowledging that stimming, quote, often helps calm the person or assists concentration on task, unquote. Okay, and
Define stimming for those that don't.
okay, yeah, stimming is stem is short for stimulation. Okay, basically something is stimulating, the brain and an overload, I guess, of energy, and so they'll start rocking, or maybe they'll some flap their arms. I pace. That's one of my well, I also rock too, especially in a rocking chair. Well, that's why they made rocking chairs, so you can rock.
When he was a baby, he banged his head. But I think personally believe now that was precursor to the seizures.
But
Do you still get seizures?
Not very often.
No, my seizure history is kind of an interesting story as well, which I can tell another time. But
Not very often.
Yeah.
Very rare.
But anyways, so basically, that there's
Blood sugar.
there's been this perception by the autism experts that this is just meaningless activity, okay, and it's annoying everybody. You need to have quiet hands, okay, and so actually your hands are pretty quiet, anyways. But that's what they do, is they try to get them to stop stimming. They haven't been acknowledging that stimming serves a purpose. Okay, that's one of the things that Sue Golubuck and I talked about is that that based on her experience in dealing with her colleagues, they don't acknowledge that they have not been acknowledging that stimming serves a legitimate purpose, for autistics. And so the question is, okay, are they actually?
I just heard a sound. You might want to at this point check the camera, make sure that it's go.
I think that was my phone.
Yeah, it wasn't the camera. So anyways, yeah, we've had problems with that camera shutting off when
We've
it's
that camera forever.
Yeah.
So,
anyways, so the question is, are the professionals actually going to embrace this? Because as we've given other examples, just because, you know, somebody has decreed it, that doesn't mean that people are going to change their belief system. They believe for the last 20 years that stimming is just an annoying thing that we need to stop them from doing, okay? Are they all of a sudden going to change, reverse their viewpoint and start believing that stimming now serves a purpose? That is an interesting question, you know, which we'll have to see. You know, but, okay, but the bad news is those who are supposed to be helping autistics Aspies overcome their employment struggles do so in a manner that could lead a potential employer to the erroneous conclusion that all autistics are more of a hassle than they're worth. And you look at the section talking about stimming and what accommodations can you give somebody who stims, okay? Because they're annoying their coworkers. Okay, one of the options is to have them work from home. Okay, how many jobs can you actually work from home? Well, 1 in 5 work from home. Yeah, but are these full-time employment jobs, or is this somebody selling Tupperware, you know, making $100 extra a month? You know, I know one autistic whose full-time job, you know, allows him to completely alienate himself from the rest of humanity. You know, stays in his house, alienating the rest of humanity. Okay, and you know, but the reality is there's not that many jobs out there. You know, a lot of my stepdad, you know, he sells, you know, guns from home. He's a licensed gun dealer, but he still has to interact with human beings. Okay. And so,
besides, he's an old fart.
and that's the whole thing. Even if they're working from home, they're still going to have to deal with human beings. When we were younger, we had a landscaping business, okay, and we ran it out of our home, okay. As a little kid, my parents ran it out of the home. But anyways, but you know what? They still had to deal with human beings, And so this idea that an accommodation for stimming is to allow them to work from home, like, okay, you pretty much made them borderline unemployable then, and so, and when you look at all these accommodations, it's like, how many employees, for all the different issues that they list, how many of these potential employees can offer these accommodations? Very few. And which makes autistics, which really limits our potential for employment. Okay, now, autism leprosy dilemma. All right. To self-disclose, self-advocate, or not self-disclose, self-advocate? That is the question that weighs heavily on the minds of many of us autistics, including some people in this room. We were discussing about this before we started running the camera. Okay. There is legitimate reason for autistics to fear discrimination if they reveal their autism to a public that has been told that it is a horrible blight. Okay? This discrimination is grounded in the fear that we might have some adverse reaction, including the possibilities of meltdowns, if one, they unknowingly make a mistake, to anything unexpected happens to us. Okay? In order to avoid potential problems, many deal with us like lepers, okay? That they not only keep their distance as much as possible, but they refuse to assist us in our own personal projects when we ask them for their assistance, okay? Nevertheless, the fact that there is something inherently different about us is so obvious to non-autistics that it is impossible for us to hide. Okay, we have this young man last month who, he's a paraprofessional who's trying to, working with special ed children, who's trying to hide his autism diagnosis. Well, his immediate supervisors are trained to spot autism. Okay, and so, yeah, I was really hoping he would be here today because I thought about this, over the past month, and it's like, okay, only his principal and vice principal are the only ones that he's told, and he's having problems, with these teachers, saying things about him. okay, and basically, and they're complaining to the principal, who's in an awkward position because they're sworn to secrecy about his diagnosis, so they can't deal with the issue, because to deal with the issue would require them to breach his confidence.
Yes.
You know, and yeah, you know,
It's a
it,
dilemma.
yeah, you know, and so, you know, that this is, you know, the extent, you know, in some cases you simply can't. In fact, eventually you can't hide it. So what is worse, the wrongful judgments that are made about why we are the way we are, if we try to hide who we are, or this, okay. But basically, if we don't, if we try to hide it, basically people are going to make judgments about, okay, why does that person act this way? They're going to make assumptions. They've got all these other judgments that can be just as bad as the stigmas about autism. So what's worse? Their wrongful judgments about who they assume that you are because of your behavior, or the stigma that comes from, from knowing your ways. In the job setting, the ability for an autistic Aspie to maintain long-term employment may rest largely on their ability to get the right job. In order to get the right job, they need to explain why they need to be given that specific job. The only way they can do that is to self-disclose. Okay, and so my position is that, okay, if you can't hide it anyways, you might as well take charge of the situation, okay, and learn how to effectively explain what's going on, to people, so to bring understanding.
After they're hired or before they're hired?
At the interview?
Well, yeah, the first thing that I do, because it's just to let you know, I am autistic, so don't worry about my eye contact issues, okay? And so yeah, I do that, so that way they're not going to interpret my lack of eye contact this way or that way. It just is, and they talk a lot about how the biggest problem the autistics have is at job interviews, and yeah, the eye contact is one of those things. So, but if you just tell them straight up, okay, I'm autistic, I have these eye contact issues, don't worry about it. It means nothing. So
I was going to say, really, that depends on the autistic and the job that the autistic is going out for. For example, you, I don't see any behaviors, at least right now, that would stick out to me as a job interviewer. You're making eye contact with me. You generally, from what I heard, you speak up in you speak up in a well-volume manner, that type of thing. You're dressed appropriately. And so there may be, in some situations, maybe he should not disclose until after he gets the job, depending on what the interview, his comfort level,
and his ability to
his interview.
self-advocate. Okay, if he can't explain himself, then self-disclosing, would be a disaster. That's part of personal development, is learning how to explain yourself, and that should be as much part of the preparation for a job interview, or if you want to do a volunteer project, learning how to explain yourself, realizing, okay, people are interpreting certain behaviors this way, okay, if it comes up, this is how I'm going to explain it, okay, and this is something that I encourage autistics, to learn how to do, so that way you're not going to be afraid to self-advocate, and so, but again, if it comes down to, you have to, and for me, my autism is an asset for me in any job that I'm going to apply for, because they're going to fit into my strengths. So my qualification is that I'm an autistic, okay, and so But anyways, so,
Does that help, is that helpful?
Yeah,
Does that
for me
clear
it is.
things
See,
up?
I think that it's better to get it out there on the table rather
Right.
than feel like you're hiding something that needs to get out there and
Yeah.
have it sticking in your craw.
yeah, and just, and yeah,
But-
and just dwelling
but
on
we've had
that.
other people give them other advice
Yeah.
that don't,
How do you feel about
but I
it?
think the
Yeah,
ultimate
Nick,
thing is
how
how
do you
he
feel?
feels.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I would not put it on like an application or a resume, because I feel like if a person who's reading through it and they see this person has autism, it's like, I don't want to deal with this person with a disability, I'll just throw that in the trash.
yeah, what you have on paper.
Yeah.
You know, if I can get a face-to-face interview, okay, I can explain everything if I can get a face-to-face interview. But as far as on paper, autism or no autism, my work history stinks, okay? And so if I can't get a face-to-face interview, you know, they'll turn in my application, they'll decide if they want to call me back. They will not call me back, period. That's all there is to
So
it.
on the application, leave that blank, but on the face-to-face interview, just.
Well, you know,
Well, if there's a need to know.
Yeah. if
Yeah.
you- if
Because
there's
they
a need.
have
Yeah.
questions on an
Do you,
application.
do you stammer and stutter? Do you have, you don't have problems looking at me? I see you stem a little, but it's not like
He
glaring.
doesn't usually do.
But it's normal, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
to decrease stress, so
Yeah, yeah.
it's a good thing.
to burn off surplus energy.
Yeah,
No.
so, and that's not gonna be noticed.
Well, I just wanted to say that when my first job that I got, a family hired me to work, to go to the hospital and be with their family, because they wanted someone to, like, not just the aides come in, but me to just sit there with them. And then one of the doctors told me that, that I was autistic then, but I wasn't even, like, diagnosed.
Huh.
He just told me that I was. In the family, they really didn't have any idea about autism. I didn't have any idea about it. And then when I still stay with that family and work there and everything, and they liked me more than they did like the aides and stuff that came in, because I went in and I did my job. And then when I moved to Connecticut, they were telling me at my job before I was diagnosed that I was autistic, but I didn't understand because I met autistic people that like were bedridden and couldn't
Yeah.
talk. So, I mean, I was told I was autistic from nurses and stuff that I worked with, but I didn't really
That's neat.
understand it, what they were telling me. And so they just, in my experience, they just like went over things more, and they put them like written, and they sometimes will record things, so I would do exactly what I was supposed to do when I went in for my jobs. So after they
That's a
told me
good,
that.
so
They
it's
help
an
you.
asset.
Yeah.
It's an asset.
Yeah. So,
One question that maybe should pop into a person's mind when they are deciding whether to self-disclose maybe at work, is self-disclosing gonna make me better able to do this job?
Good point.
You know, if self-disclosing means I get an accommodation, that means I'm more efficient. If self-disclosing means that I can be more productive, or there's less of a attention problem at work, then yeah, self-disclose.
well, I
If you
would,
don't see a purpose in that,
There you
in
go.
self-disclosing, you don't have to. If it doesn't,
I
if it's
would
not going to
add-
help you.
yeah, I would add to that list, if you need to, in order to alleviate conflict with coworkers or supervisors who are misunderstanding, so yeah, that ultimately is up to you, okay? And like I said before, if you don't know how to defend yourself, okay, you don't know how to explain yourself, then yeah, self-disclosure is going to blow up in your face, okay? Before you start self-disclosing to anybody, you need to learn how to self-disclose in an effective manner, how to explain, who you are, in an effective way in order to to that leads that understanding in order to resolve the conflict. So first of all, you need to train yourself to be able to self-disclose before you start self-disclosing. Okay, and that's going to require commitment, to understand not just autism, but how autism affects you personally. I can tell you how autism affects me, okay, but you need to learn how autism affects you and how to explain that to other people in a way that will lead to understanding. So that's the first thing. Before you even think about self-disclosing, you need to learn how to self-disclose. Moving on to vocational rehabilitation and job coaches. Okay, we've touched a lot on this already, because we are running short on time, but we have, first of all, the assessment test, okay? The only truly useful activity that I've done in vocational rehabilitation, okay? Although the psychologist went over the results with me, I'm forbidden to have my own copy because it's considered property of VES, and yet I have one of the copies. Basically, my first caseworker didn't read that little part of the line, and so she had already, made me this copy, had given me this before she had read it, and so, but since then, she's left to go back to Philadelphia, so I don't have to worry about getting her fired. So, anyways, but it's absurd to me, okay, because there is so much useful information on this, and it's basically, the amounts of hours that this psychologist billed the state, okay, I guarantee you that the state paid hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for a single-use document, that they read over one time, they stick it in a file, and so here's the results, okay. Verbal comprehension, 93 percentile. In other words, my ability to comprehend what I hear meets or exceeds that of 93 out of 100 people, 93% of the population. Only 7% of the population is better than me in this particular area. Perceptual reasoning, 77 percentile. Working memory, 50 percentile, which kind of surprises me because working memory is an aspect of executive functioning, which I know I struggle at, and so basically what I attribute this to is the way that they test, your working memory is, okay, that they give you a series of numbers to remember, like, okay, and then they ask you some other question, and then they say, okay, recite that back. Well, the thing is, okay, you've given me a challenge, okay, and so I'm going to make extra effort, to make sure I remember that. But when it comes to remembering where I set down my keys when I got home, 115 degrees out, I'm kind of hot, I'm not even thinking about anything I'm doing, I just set my keys down somewhere, and then later I'm wanting to go somewhere and I can't find my keys. That's, so, clinical testing versus real world testing, basically, my real world score would probably be a lot lower than 50 percentile. Okay, so I'm very glad for the clinical testing method because it makes me look a lot better than I actually am. Okay, processing speed, 14%. I am a very slow thinker, and this did not surprise me or my mom when I told her about this. It's like, yeah, we can see that, and then full-scale IQ test, IQ. Okay, now this is interesting. Remember I just got done saying that I had 140 IQ in 3rd grade? Well, my IQ here is 108, but 70 percentile range. Okay, that means I am way above average. Bottom line is there's several different ways of testing IQ scores, okay? And so basically, the new way of testing IQ scores 108 puts you in the 70 percentile range, which means I'm well above average, even though my IQ is officially only 108, where it was 140, which was well above average in 3rd grade. You know, and so that's what happens when they change the test in these
Way
scales.
different.
Yeah, you know, yeah, I actually, you know, looked up online, you know, the IQ scales, and there's 3 different IQ scales, and none of them use the same scale that I saw at IQ.com, which is no longer active, site that's no longer active, which 110 was average, okay, was exact average, and in normal average range was from 90 to 119. Okay, now average is 100 period.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
That's what I thought too. I
yeah.
always thought it
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, and so there's different you know, ways of testing these, and so
Now, in the 90s, when I was going to school to renew my nursing skills, we got into studying that somehow.
right.
And that's what they taught them in the
Yeah.
mid-90s, that the average,
It was
you know,
100.
Yeah.
is 100. And then a little below that is okay, it's still average, you know.
Yeah.
And I can't remember now the numbers, 95 or whatever. And then that's why when he told me he had an IQ of 140, I thought, whoa!
Mhm.
140 would have been.
It is, yeah.
Well,
It's-
yeah, it's in the 70s, 140 was borderline genius. So,
Well, in the 90s, it was
you know, so.
well into.
Yeah, so again, you know, that they use different tests that have different scales. Anyways, you know, and this section was highlighted. Okay, he scored in the superior range within the areas related to. Okay, I don't have my glasses with you. Could you read the highlighted portions?
He actually scored in the superior range within areas related to verbal comprehension and in the high average range in perceptual reasoning. A relative strength was found in areas related to verbal reasoning and comprehension. So what this is basically saying is his strength comes when he is speaking out loud, which is what he's doing, which is why he learns this way. And so,
Now, my
when he
son,
talks.
my son's father, I think his grandparents said that they had his IQ checked for some reason, his behavior problems, and it was like 120 or something,
Mhm.
and they said he was a genius.
Yeah.
That was in the 60s.
So anyways, I'm on this, you know, Broncos fan site, and some of the members, some people just gripe about things, you know, complain, you know, that I keep posting all these videos. Why don't you just write stuff out like the rest of us? Okay. Well, let's move on to the next section, okay, talking about my academic scores, okay? Going from strongest to weakest, calculations, in other words, math, 13.0, grade 13.0, so basically somebody that just enrolled as a high school freshman or a college freshman, okay? Passage comprehension, okay, reading comprehension, okay? 12.5, so 5th month of 12th grade is what my reading comprehension is at. Letter word recognition, okay, that's 10.6, so basically I read at a level of somebody who's in the 6th month of 10th grade. Okay, writing sample, 6.5, 5th month of 6th grade. I write like a 12-year-old. Spelling, 6.2.
I can't read it.
You know, and so,
But I can't read either one of his brothers either.
Yeah.
Well, in other words, somebody has to be talking to you and you have to be talking back to someone.
mhm.
Basically, that's how you best learn.
Yes.
Right, you know, and in correspondence, yeah, is my weakness, okay? And so now we have all this technology. Oh, just text me, just email me. No, I want to call you.
Just to let.
Yes, I'm aware of the clock, yes. Okay, and so, anyways, just text me, just email me. It's like, no, I don't, I want to call you, okay? I call you, call me back. So yeah, so anyways, okay, so real quickly, the counselors in the first week of December of 2015, I was assigned my 4th counselor since starting the program in March of the same year. Okay, none of them took the time to go over my previous job history. It's as if they are all trained to assume that all autistics are low functioning and or just out of high school, which I previously brought up. 2, get input on employment-related issues from those who know me, such as my mom, such as a list of 14 people that I drew up as a special list of references, that they could contact and they could talk to that know me, that have worked with me, in volunteer positions, and no, it's all irrelevant because they have their master's degree. They know everything. So they don't need to actually talk to me. Well, or at least on their way to getting their master's. That they at least need to have a bachelor's degree and in the process of getting their master's degree. Okay, and so anyways, in order to work for Voc Rehab. Okay, and it's like, and it's not just the Voc Rehab counselors. When I was referred to, this employment agency, okay, same thing. They that they don't need to find out who this unique individual is because they have all this book knowledge. That's all they need to find you the right job is all this book knowledge. Okay, and so I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead to, come on, faster. Okay, back up. Okay, now you can't really see this very well. Okay, this is the sheet. Okay, when I was set up with these training jobs, okay, okay, these sheets, were that they gave these sheets to the to my employer, to grade my abilities. Okay. First one, maintenance of punctuality. What kind of vocabulary is that? They didn't say attendance. Maintenance of punctuality. Commitment to attendance. I mean, they're talking like they're dealing with a child. Okay, and these employers, okay, we need to convince them that we're not asking them to do babysitting detail, and we hand them a sheet like this with this vocabulary. And okay.
So that was given to employers, or
Yeah, well,
is that something
to
that job coaches?
Well,
Because I can see how a job coach would use that to assess issues on.
this
Given to the employer.
No, to the training employer. One of the places that I was at was a restaurant, and my manager was to fill this out on me. Okay, and so okay, as far as attendance, okay, I have a well-established track record. Again, if you ask the people that know me, they're going to say, hey, especially if you talk to the English class I volunteered at. Jason shows up every night. He's usually the first person there. He's usually there, before the door's even unlocked. Okay, there's no question about my punctuality. Okay, and my commitment to attendance. So why even bring up the subject? Okay,
So do you think Voc Rehab is just a useless place to go?
Well, for somebody like me, yes. Okay, because there may be people that are that are at this level where they need this kind of vocabulary, and who may be barely out of high school. I'm open to the possibility that some people might actually benefit, but for somebody like me who, with these kind of scores, with the intelligence scores.
Well, what bothered me was that the employer has to take time out of his life
Well, yes.
to fill out a stupid report card.
That's
That's
going
what-
that's gonna make it difficult.
That's right.
well,
It's gonna turn it.
well, okay, well, now, okay, so that's the propaganda. Now, let me tell you about the reality, okay? My supervisor was just filling in numbers. She didn't actually work with me, okay? I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday. She only worked one of those 3 days. She was just putting in numbers.
For free labor.
Basically, yes, that's the arrangement is that,
So the employer's not paying for you either?
basically, what it is that,
Voc Rehab pays.
yeah, right. Okay, from the standpoint of the employer, I'm just free labor. Okay, so basically that they have, one autistic, and this other bookstore that I was at also had one autistic that was an actual bona fide employee, and then they can get an endless stream of free labor after that.
Wow.
Okay, it is a nice racket.
It is.
Okay, and so when we're talking about setting up an alternative program,
So then Voc Rehab's getting this money
It's a
from
farce.
federal government, or?
Yes.
yes, federal government,
Takes your
tax.
tax dollars
And
and
they
puts it
pay
into that,
you-
and it
is it
doesn't
some-
do any good.
This is some temporary program? that
Yes,
you're
for 80 hours. I have 80 hours of training,
Okay.
and then it's over.
Okay.
Okay, unless that employer wants to actually hire you on.
Oh, and they don't have to hire you on.
They don't have to hire you.
Go and then get another trainee.
Right,
So they could care less how you
That's
perform.
right.
right.
She's not even there watching him sweep or whatever he's doing. She's not around.
Yeah, I was portioning the, the food, because, that, in a fast-paced, the type of
Well, I
restaurant.
know. It's
Yeah,
just that
anyways.
She wasn't there to see.
Yeah, and so, it's, and so, what we need to do is to not just, set up a racket where they're just accepting free labor, but set up, a program, where it just needs to be changed. And that's something, for those people who want to change the system, that's what we need to do, is have ongoing meetings to discuss, because there is a lot, and we are running, short on time. I want to get onto this, next, oh, wait. Oh, shoot. And, okay, okay, anyways, it's so,
You talked about job coaches.
yeah,
Do
and
you know how do you find a job coach? Do you know that?
well, you're assigned a job coach. Basically, you're assigned an agency that's going to be in charge of your training, and they provide you with the job coach. Okay, and
That's
so
Voc Rehab.
yeah, Voc Rehab refers you out to a private contractor.
We were on a waiting list. We didn't get a priority one group.
Yeah.
It was 6 years.
And
You have to wait.
yeah, and so
They're
Voc.
not gonna help.
Yeah, so Voc Rehab, refers you out, and so that's what I'm talking about, is us, forming one of these agencies that does the job training, so that way, we, people can be referred to us from Voc Rehab, and we'll do something more effective. We will get them, not just these menial jobs, but we'll present autism in a way that higher quality employers, would be interested into, working, with our people, presenting not as a babysitting detail,
Yeah.
but as the possibility of finding a valuable long-term employee, and so, and that would require, quite a bit of discussion, and so that is, what we need to do, and so that's why I've given out, my contact information on the pamphlet, and so I can be contacted by, the instant message with meetup.com, and so numerous ways to contact, but we need to do more than just come here once a month to have, a topical discussion. We need to have meetings specifically for the purpose of discussing how we can change the system, what we need to do to improve the quality of life of all autistics, okay? And so, so anyways, so with that, any last questions or comments? Okay.